That's a fancy ass intro, man. I am hyped for some quality content right here.
Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters and debunkers.
Well, so much for that. That's actually a massive pet peeve of mine, and it's not just pseudoscience morons that seem to do it. Look, if you don't have the hardware or skill to make your actual video decent, buying a ridiculously high quality intro doesn't pull the rest of your content up. It only makes the stuff you do fart out look even more terrible, and I would love it if you stopped. Seriously, I would just like a little consistency. If a cack-handed moron like me can manage it even before the fancy artwork I use now, thank you Extellus, I really think anybody could. Already hot and bothered, and we haven't even talked about the actual argument yet.
We are told that mass and the force of gravity are intrinsically linked.
We are told that, and better yet, you can prove it for yourself too. In fact, I'll bet today you'll demonstrate it without understanding that is in fact what you are doing. Just a guess. It's not like it happens every single time one of you opens your mouths.
Comprising the glue which holds together the heliocentric model.
And, you know, the universe at large. I do wonder when you say heliocentric model if you mean for our solar system, or if you think the consensus is that the sun is actually the centre of the universe. Quick hint, it's not. And nobody really refers to the heliocentric model anymore because every solar system is heliocentric. It's what makes it a solar system, rendering the term pretty redundant.
Allowing everything to stick to the alleged spinning ball Earth.
Wait, do you even know what heliocentric means? Because it doesn't have anything to do with the properties of the Earth, at least not really. You could remove the Earth and the solar system would still function largely the same, with some variance of course. Maybe I'm going too much into this, but you really never can be too sure with you guys.
So let's have a look at that and see whether that is really true.
Wow. So you think one tiny experiment filmed on a shitty camera and poorly rendered onto YouTube will be the ultimate evidence of your claim? Yeah, screw writing papers, writing is for nerds, and doing multiple experiments? I mean, who has the time? And obviously, peer review is all a cover-up for the lizard people to eat children. So that's out of the question. I don't know why it amuses me so much when flat arts arrogantly proclaim they have the absolute definitive proof in a 7-minute video that is mostly them waffling on about things they clearly don't understand. But it does, and that's why I can't stop making these damn videos. Gonna start a group, like Flat Earth Mocking Anonymous. First step is wanting to stop. Well shit, I'm fucked then.
Here I have some cooking oil.
I bet it's piss. He just eats nothing but butter, so it comes out in an extremely viscous state. Ah, great, I just disgusted myself. Thanks a lot, brain. Why the fuck are you blaming me? I haven't lived there in years. I moved out when you started subjecting me to this shit. Oh. Wait, how the hell am I still alive?
An empty jar, normal water, room temperature water, and cold water, which I've just added some colour to.
No. That's called ice. It jingles like that because it's frozen. I'm so smart.
So you can see here that this oil has a lot of mass.
What? I can see the oil has a lot of mass. I can't even see that it is actually oil. I can't tell anything from this apart from the fact that you're telling me. And I'm a soft-hearted sort that's willing to believe you. But as I ranted about before, this is not any kind of definitive proof of anything, because you aren't showing measurements or anything like that. If you want to show me the amount of mass something has, one of the ways you could do it, you take a known amount of matter, like these weight things, for example, and you stick them on a scale. One of the fancy ones with a dealie in the middle. I hope you're all keeping up and writing this down. I know it's all very technical, but it would improve your evidence's validity vastly. All you're doing here is expecting us to believe whatever you say. You know, the thing that flat earthers always accuse everyone who doesn't agree with them of doing when it comes to the scientific consensus.
So I'm going to pour this mass of oil into the jar. Okay.
Riveting.
And gravity is said to be doing its work, making the oil sink to the bottom of the jar.
I mean, yeah, there's nothing else pushing it down, and even if there was, that would also be subject to gravity.
But if we add some water with less mass than the oil, we'll just put a little bit in.
Wait, do you think mass is the size of something, like the space it takes up? Because that's volume. You honestly want to claim that you have this amazing proof that the world works in a fundamentally different way than how it has been established over hundreds of years by countless men and women working endless hours, pulling together every possible idea they can to show exactly what gravity is and what it does and doesn't do. And you can't even get the basic terminology right. Mate, I mean, we're both morons, but at least I'm not an arrogant dickhead too. Bugger me.
And see what happens. Okay. The water sinks to the bottom, even though the oil has a lot more mass than the water.
Yes, oil is less dense than water. This doesn't prove anything other than different densities of liquid will layer because there is forces working on them. The funniest thing is, you keep talking about mass, that the oil has more mass, but that's actually the opposite of reality. If you take the same volume, you know, that thing you actually meant, of oil and water, the water will have more mass. That's why it sinks. And you know what? I'm just going to start repeating myself, and I've got something really cool to show you.
The water has sunk to the bottom and is apparently being pulled down by the gravity more than the more massive amount of oil. So this in itself completely debunks the idea that mass is related to gravity.
Right, first off, if you're going to do a million pauses on a fairly static video, for the love of God, edit them out. That shit is painful. Secondly, no, it doesn't debunk anything. In fact, it's rather helpfully showing how gravity works on different substances. Have you ever wondered how oil and water work in a zero gravity environment? Here is the cool thing I wanted to show you.
So, die Zeit läuft. Wir können sehen, dass hier sich...
Isn't that fucking awesome? And in before flat-earth argument from incredulity, if you think something isn't real or CG or whatever, you kind of have to do more than say, it's fake. This isn't CGI, and unless you can prove, and yes, I know proof is a foreign concept to you lot, but unless you can prove that it's CGI, you need to shut the fuck up and stop pretending that you have anything substantive to say. You know what? I don't mean that. You guys are too funny to be quiet. I just want you to have better arguments. But yeah, this is what happens when you don't have gravity acting on the liquids, pulling them in a particular direction. They stay separate because they don't really bond. So they sit in separate places. Exactly what you would expect if gravity was a thing, but wasn't currently strong enough to affect it.
Of course, we have two substances here which are of different densities. Although the oil is thicker, it's less dense than the water. The water is more tightly compact on a molecular level.
Oh, so you have heard of density? Well, I'm shocked. And now you're probably going to make a really, really stupid argument based on the fact that density is a thing. Don't worry, folks. I have my emergency whiskey on standby. Okay, so this bit is super goddamn boring. He's just adding cold water to the bottom and doesn't really have a point. Yes, cold water is denser than warm water. Good job. Next week, he's going to show how hot air rises above cold air, but hot air balloons are actually a government conspiracy to sell your mum's nudes to Russia.
Okay, so the difference in temperature of the water makes a difference.
Yes, thank you, Captain Obvious.
We've got the cold water on the bottom, the warm water above it, and the less dense oil above that. All these things are to do with relative density. And of course, the question that will be asked by people wishing to defend the globe is, what makes up and down in the first place?
Okay folks, now is his time to shine. You know he's got some raw science to bust out. Gonna blow our minds and make us all feel stupid for the pathetic globe cucks we are. Get ready to beg for mercy at the sight of his mighty brain.
Mr. Brainley, I'm a gigantic brain.
Well, frankly, nobody really knows, but...
Very interesting. Maybe it's some kind of force that acts on objects, pulling them towards the surface of larger bodies. Now we have discovered this great new thing that the globetards don't know about. We should give it a name. Perhaps...
Gravity, you fucking retard!
It is the medium, and whatever is put into the medium or adjacent to the medium, which makes the difference. And there has to be an up and down.
Gravity! Have you ever heard of fucking gravity?
But the up and down doesn't mean that we stick to a ball, and it doesn't mean that everything's being pulled to the center of the Earth, as we can see here.
That clip I showed you earlier, if you took that vial to the moon, it would start to settle into something similar to your big pot of goopy piss there. And yet, there's for all intents and purposes, no medium around it forcing it to conform like that. Almost as if something you can't touch is acting upon it. Some kind of, oh I don't know, force.
It is... What's going on here has nothing to do with the Earth beneath it. It has to do with...
Gravity! Gravity!
what is in the container. Relative density. And anything beyond that remains a mystery. Thank you very much.
Fucking mystery, mate. You're an idiot. You've debunked absolutely nothing. All you've actually shown is there is, in fact, some forces that act on these things, and because they are different densities, they stack. And what's so irritating is instead of saying, hey, I don't think gravity works the way everyone is saying, because let's be frank, at its most basic, gravity is the thing that makes stuff fall towards the floor. That happens, and we call it gravity. And yes, I know it's more complicated than that, Mr. Smartass commenter. I'm not having a conversation with you. I'm talking to this guy. So do feel free to not leave a comment that makes you sound like an asshole. Cheers. There is something making stuff fall to the ground. And you very well know there is a difference between that force and density. Why not just say gravity instead of coming off like you've had recent brain damage? Honestly, I don't understand why flat earthers don't get gravity anyway. Just think of it this way. Gravity is that thing that makes you fall down and hit your head every time you try to dress yourselves. Get it? Got it? Good. Now where my whiskey at?